Now everybody. Great now.
Did you be changed in the meeting?
You can take a picture.
Oh.
Actually, we're working.
All right.
It's 7:59. We're like on time this morning. I love it. Welcome, everybody. We're so glad you're here this morning. All right, it's 8 o'clock. We can go ahead and get started.
Hi, good morning and welcome everyone. My name is Tracy Irby and I'm the director at the Center for Women Entrepreneurs. Glad all of you are here today and for our virtual audience as well. So for those of you who aren't familiar with us, the Center for Women Entrepreneurs was funded by the state legislature in 2015 just to help promote women entrepreneurs anywhere in the state of Texas. You do not have to be affiliated with TWU to be able to use our services. And so we help through small business advising, networking and training events like this one. We have several accelerator training programs across the state, and one of our former cohort is in here today. We may have some online as well. And we also do grant funding. We are part of the larger Jane Nelson Institute for Women's Leadership. The Jane Nelson Institute for Women's Leadership at Texas Women's University is dedicated to preparing more women to take on successful roles in business and public service. Our 3 specialized centers provide women with the education to establish executive level career skills for building entrepreneurial businesses and the framework needed to run for public office. So those of you that are here, we also have the Center for Student Leadership and Center for Women in Politics and Public Policy. And a little ways down the hall, we have the Sue Bancroft Leadership Hall, a small collection about women in politics. So if they're open while you're here, feel free to go through. I'd like to introduce our staff today. You've heard from Donalisa Stinyard already. She is our Associate Director. We have Christina Mortel online. She is our Small Business Advisor. We also have Kimberly Nielsen. She is our statewide program manager, and she oversees the accelerator programs throughout the state. And we have Barbara Rente. Hey, Barbara. And she is on Facebook monitoring the chat there. So that is our staff here. What we like to do is know who you are as well in the room. So we like to go through and have everyone introduce themselves. And for those of you who are online, you can put your name and your business in the chat. So you want to start us off in here, just your name and business.
My full-time job is actually an academic advisor for the College of Business. But in my personal time, my roommate and I, we started our little online business. We like the aesthetic of cats and celestial stuff. So we do digital designs and we send it to a third party, and we just have our turn them into like t-shirts that people can buy from our websites.
Hi, I'm Emily Klingman. I'm the owner of Summit Concussion Therapy. It's a pediatric concussion therapy business that I haven't started. Like, I just got my LLC certificate of formation a couple weeks ago. So I don't have any clients yet, and I'm not quite ready to go public, working on marketing and everything. So branding.
Congrats.
I'm Samisha Brown. Full-time, I'm an account manager for a post-tension company. Post-tension is the steel that goes into the slab. So I do residential, so like David Weekly and Highland and stuff. And then my business is TK Events, and I do anything from tablescaping, big events, small events, and I just got a venue last month, so.
Congrats.
Heather Walker, I own Bright Smiles by Heather. They private tooth whitening studio, so you can come get your teeth whitened, you don't have to go to the dentist, you don't have to get scary prices.
I'm Hannah Gacy. I'm an event videographer and photographer. We work with promote and branding as well for small businesses. And I have 2 companies, Handsome and Photo, and then Modern and More Wedding Homes. Hi, I'm Hannah Pope Lawson. I'm the owner of Well Culture Counseling. We're licensed professional counselors who see forward through the lifespan. We work with play therapy, couples therapy, individuals, and we're starting a group through Dungeons and Dragons to help with social anxiety. So if you know anybody who fits the bill, send them my way.
Hi, I'm Jessica DeLeon, and I'm working on launching my website on high management with a twist. I hope to start it later this year.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bianca Phelps. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing for the Hilton Garden Inn here in Denton, Texas, and recently just got promoted to regional. And so I'll be working on a lot of marketing for 5 properties. And I'm here today to support Tracy because we sit on the chamber board together and we've been in the community a while. And so I wanted to meet some fellow entrepreneurs and see what this is all about.
Good morning. I am Megan Cross. I'm a financial advisor with Modern Woodman. It's my first time at the in-person version of this, so super excited to be here with everybody.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. It's so nice to see today what a diverse group we have, and all those different types of businesses is great. So I'm going to introduce our speaker now. We have Dewayanna Horn. She serves as Associate Dean and Professor of Management at Texas Women's University in the College of Business, where she teaches graduate management courses at the Houston campus. Her research interests include organizational citizenship behavior, women in leadership, and positive job attitudes. To bridge the gap between theory and practice and to stay current in industry, Dr. Horn coaches women leaders and business owners on the same topics of her research and collaborates with several women-focused business organizations in Houston. We're so glad to have you here this morning, Dewayanna. Turn it over to you.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm so happy to be here. It's always a pleasure to interact with the Center for Women Entrepreneurs, and always a pleasure to interact with women business owners. I'm so glad to see and meet so many of you, and to see you all starting and growing and scaling your businesses. If I could have the career I want in a dream world, I would just create a position where I could just be out in the community networking with women like you every day. So, but fortunately, even in this profession, I have plenty of opportunities to support women in business and to interact with women in business weekly. You know, I set up appointments and go to lunch and go to different networking events and meet and connect with different women. So I've really enjoyed it. I've been at TWU for 12 years now. And also on the side, I can relate to you all because I do own my own business. I have a home decorating company that I started in the pandemic, and it was built from a hobby and a passion that I've had for years. So during the pandemic, I just decided to go for it, and it's been going well. So I can relate to a lot of the problems that you all have practically and also theoretically. So I'm happy for that and happy to share my knowledge and skills with you here today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that I can present to you all today. Okay. Can everybody see my screen?
It's blank right now.
Is it blank? Okay. All right. Let's see. Let me try one more time. I'll get it in a second. What about now?
Yes, I think.
Okay, great. Technology, don't fail me now. Okay, so today's topic is women entrepreneurs helping women entrepreneurs. And the thought behind this topic today is based on the fact that I do a lot of networking with women. I do meet and connect with women. And it's mostly at networking events and through different organizations around Houston and sometimes in Dallas area as well. But there are plenty of resources aimed at women and organizations who like to help women. And these organizations include males and females. But I have a co-author and we're working on some research that's actually funded by the Center for Women Entrepreneurs. And the topic of our research is women entrepreneurs helping women entrepreneurs. And the basic question that I had behind the research was, are women really connecting and are they really sharing resources and helping each other? So that's the topic of our conversation for today.
We see your slide, but there's no words on the slide. So I'm not sure if you advance it, if we'll see words.
What about now?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Let's see. No words. Let's see. What do you see now?
We see a blank screen.
Still a blank screen.
Yeah, before we had your slide, but there were no words on the slide.
Okay, let me try something else. Hold on one second. Okay, what about now? No?
No, still a blank screen.
Okay, one more thing.
Is it inside of Canva?
It is.
Usually that makes it like super easy.
Really? Okay, let me just start over with my browser. Nothing yet. Okay, this is not gonna make it easy for me today. Let's see. Okay, do you see anything now?
Yeah.
Words?
Yes.
Words.
Okay, great. You still see words?
No, so can you go back, Dewayanna? Okay, go right there. Now go to present, but hold on a second before you click anything else. Click
Okay.
click present full screen. And then click present and see if that helps.
It's not going to cooperate.
Okay, I just won't put it on full screen. How about that? Can you see that?
Yeah, we can see that.
Okay, well, I'll just leave it like that and just go through that way. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Okay, so here's our topic outline for today. we have our introduction, then I'll give an overview of women-owned businesses, talk about some challenges and opportunities that women-owned businesses have. And then we'll talk about seeking and giving help to each other. And then I'll leave some time for questions and answers. Women-owned businesses are making a significant impact in our economy. And here's some stats about us. We own 12 million firms and we employ over 10 million people. Total sales, 2.1 trillion. Annual payroll, 388 billion. And then number of firms that actually employ people are over 1 million. And then number of employees is 10,860,000. And our total sales, $1.8 trillion. And then our non-employer total sales is 300 billion. So we are making a really big impact in the economy. And we have, it's predicted that woman-owned businesses will grow faster than male-owned businesses. And here's some other stats about us. We've come a long way. In the early 1900s, did you know that a married woman in Texas could not own property or start a business without her husband's permission? Yes. And then in 1988, which is considerably late in our country's development, that's when the Women's Business Ownership Act was passed, and it did away with us having to have our husband's permission to get a business loan. And it also opened up more resources for us. So the act was created to address the needs of women in business by giving women entrepreneurs better recognition, additional resources, and by eliminating discriminatory lending practices by banks that favored male business owners over female business owners. And then you fast forward to 2020, and in 2020, more women started businesses than men that year. So if you remember 2020, that was in the pandemic. So in the pandemic, we came out swinging, right? We sat behind our computers or whatever we had to do, and we got it done. We started more businesses than males. And then in 2021, women started 49% of all new businesses in the US. So we've come a long way, and we're going a long way. So we have a lot of opportunities, as you can see. We're constantly opening up businesses. We're constantly expanding our resources and our networks, but we also still have a lot of challenges. So I'm going to focus on some of the challenges that we have as women business owners. So here are 8 challenges that I came up with. Number one is limited funding. So even though we have the Women's Business Ownership Act that was passed in 1988, we are still struggling to get our businesses funded. And our businesses are funded at a lesser rate than male-owned businesses. We still have trouble balancing responsibilities, family responsibilities, work responsibilities, responsibilities that we have in our communities. So, you know, it's a juggling act, and a lot of you, I know, can attest to it. A lot of us have a fear of failure, you know, stepping out into the unknown, the uncertainty, the ambiguity, and, you know, it's hard to overcome that fear. A lot of us have been working for companies, and we're comfortable with that. We're comfortable with having the steady paycheck and the benefits and all of this. So when you step out on your own, you fear that you're going to let your family down. You fear that you're not going to be able to be stable. And then in a lot of cases, we have inadequate support systems to help us through the stages of starting and growing our business. And also there's gender inequality. We all know what that is. We all know that we're paid less to do the same thing. We have fewer opportunities. And sometimes we just don't have that good old boy network that our male counterparts have. And then sometimes we're limited in knowledge. Some, you know, we have a lot to learn. And that's going to be true males and females, but we have to learn how to overcome that knowledge barrier that we have in starting our businesses and growing our businesses. And then it's an unfavorable business environment. There are some systemic barriers to us starting businesses, and we have to overcome those. And then some of us are just plain shy. We're shy, we want to stick with what we know. You know, with all these odds against us, it could be quite daunting to step out and be really confident in growing your businesses. So I just listed 8 challenges for female business owners, but even beyond that, there are some problem characteristics that are inherent to small business ownership that, you know, and this is a problem for everyone. So when you first start off, or maybe for a long time, you know, you have to deal with your business is small and it's new and you have unique problems that no one readily has the answer to. So hopefully when you start your business, you've scanned the market, you've looked for unmet needs in society, and you're trying to address those unmet needs for a specific target market. So because of that, that makes sometimes that makes your problems more severe and complex. Because they're complex because nobody really knows the answer. Sometimes you're the first to do whatever you're going to do. And so nobody else really knows how to help you. And then when you're new and you're small, the frequency of some of these challenges can get you down too, because when we're new and we're small and we don't have all the technology in place, we don't have all our networks in place, sometimes we encounter problems that other firms will have worked out already, but we will encounter these problems more frequently. And then the importance of the problem, sometimes, you know, people are not willing to help us, or they don't see the importance of the problems that we have within our businesses because they're so small and because we haven't proven ourselves in society and in business. So there are some problem characteristics that are going to be there, whether it's a female-owned business or a male-owned business. But despite it all, in order to overcome those challenges and to overcome those unique problem characteristics, we need to be seeking and giving help to each other as women. We have a lot of organizations that are trying to help us, and we meet and we network and we see each other at these events, you know, but are we really, really connecting, and are we really, really helping each other? So to seek and give help, we need to be doing 4 things. We need to be networking, networking, networking. So the more you can get out and learn, the more you can be in the midst of people who are doing the same things that you're doing, the better it's going to be for you. But as you network, you have to be aware of the barriers to connecting. So there are a lot of barriers to us actually connecting and relating to each other at these events. And then you have to learn how to ask for help and learn the importance of offering to help other women. And here's a quote from Serena Williams. Most of us know who Serena Williams is. Every woman's success should be an inspiration to another. We're strongest when we cheer each other on. And how many of you believe that? Raise your hand if you believe that. Great, great. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about networking. And I want to ask you all a question, and I'm going to ask this through a survey. And bear with me, because as you can already see, I've already had some technology problems this morning. So actually, I found out about this app through networking, and I'm going to attempt to use it here. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
You see the blue screen. Okay. So I have a question to ask you all, and you can scan this QR code, or either you can join us by typing in that code in your text messages. But I want to know, where do you network? What events or organizations or groups do you network with? And also I want you to specify the city, because we're kind of dispersed across Texas and probably a little outside Texas. So let me know the city where this networking occurs. Okay, so you're networking in the area chambers of commerce. WomenRISE is a resource for you, the Center for Women Entrepreneurs. Glad to see that. I see someone is networking at church. That's good. Online, LinkedIn. TWU, Chamber of Commerce, Square Networking, Denton. Monthly, let me see, several areas, area chambers. Women in Commerce in Denton, I've heard of that. Virtual events nationwide. Facebook. Okay, some people are networking within their professional organizations. Texas Occupational Therapy Association Annual Conference, various cities. HOA events, Texas Veterans Commission, Lift Fund. I'm seeing a lot of the popular places. Okay, so you all are busy out there networking, which is great. And there's some, as you can see across, you can see where most people are saying. So I'm gonna move on. Thank you for participating in that poll. All right, so you all are out there networking. You're networking. Hopefully you're interacting with the Small Business Administration. That the Small Business Administration was made possible through that Women's Business Act of 1988. So I hopefully you're taking advantage of those services as well. And hopefully you continue to find other events and organizations where you can network and get the word out about your business and get help. But when you're networking, when you show up at these places, let's talk about what's going on and how you're interacting. In my research, I talk about, my co-author and I, Dr. Margaret Young, we talk about respectful engagement. So when you're at these networking events, you should be engaging in respectful engagement, which is being present to others, affirming them, communicating and listening in a way that manifests regard and appreciation of the other's worth. And so let's dive a little into respectful engagement. And this comes from the University of Michigan. And we're going to talk about some respectful engagement strategies just to make sure that you are more apt to be connecting when you're at these events. So when you're at these events, you should engage in respectful conversations with other women. And let me tell you, when you go to these organizations, your aim should be to meet as many people as possible, to meet as many diverse people as possible. You need people in your circle who are not like you, people who think differently, look differently, act differently, because ideas come from everywhere. So you should be engaging in respectful conversations while you're talking to the people at these events. You should convey presence, turn your attention to your colleagues, resist distraction, invite engagement, be careful about your body language. You should be genuine. You should speak and react honestly, have a deep interest in your colleagues, and create opportunities to authentically convey interest in others. How many of you feel good when you feel like someone is really interested in hearing about your business or really, really interested in connecting with you? That's a great feeling, huh? You should communicate affirmation. You should actively look for positive ways for the positive in your colleagues and affirm their situation. So when people are talking to you about their business and talking to you about their passions and the things that they have going on, you should make sure that you're affirming them as much as possible. And then it is particularly important to avoid contempt and defensiveness and stonewalling and criticism. Now, when I say criticism, I don't mean don't give feedback. You should give feedback. Like, that's part of being authentic, is being able to give and receive feedback. So, but I'm talking, when I say it here, I'm talking about just kind of nasty like criticism. So we're not going to do that. Another thing, when you're engaging, you should practice effective listening. So you should listen empathetically, put yourself in your colleagues' shoes, intellectually and emotionally, rephrase what they're saying, just to let them know that you're deeply listening, and paraphrase when you can. Listen actively, paraphrase, summarize, clarify the things that they said, just to check yourself, first of all, to make sure that you're listening and understanding, and also to make sure that they understand that you're listening. When you're engaging in respectful engagement, you should have supportive types of communication. So you should make requests, not demands of people. You should be specific about what you need, where you're at in business, what you're trying to accomplish. And then you should remain descriptive and don't be judgmental of each other while you're talking. So how many of you feel like you are engaging in respectful engagement strategies when you're networking? By show of hands. And how many of you feel like maybe you have a little more work to do while you're at these events? A little more work to really, really connect with people, listen to people, understand what other people are doing. Okay, great. So despite the fact that we gather at these events, you know, some people are not connecting. Some people are not supporting each other. Some people are showing up for themselves, but not necessarily showing up for other people. We want to make sure that we're doing both. So that when there are some reasons why women don't connect. And would you all like to offer any reasons why women don't connect in the chat? Competition, shyness, fear of judgment, competition, insecurity, lack of confidence, stereotype of women. Yeah, there's a stereotype that we don't get along, right? And some people are playing small. I love your answers. Okay, any more wrong attitude when you come to the event? Feeling like there's not enough success for everyone? Comparing yourself to others? Anybody in the audience? Because I know you can't type in the chat. Anybody in the audience want to offer some reasons why?
And just speak up. The microphone will pick you up. The what?
I feel like the chat covered.
Oh, the chat covered most of it, Dr. Horn.
Oh, okay, great. Okay. Some people have a fixed mindset and are not sure how the person will help them. Some people think if someone else's star is shining, theirs is less bright. Wow. Some people don't feel really deserving of success. Imposter syndrome, huh? Okay. So here are some reasons that I found in my research. So there is a thing called the power dead even rule. And the power dead even rule is some women feel like they have to, it's power and self-esteem. So for some reason, some people feel like for a healthy relationship to be possible between women, the self-esteem and power of one must be, in the eyes of each woman, similar in weight to the self-esteem and power of the other. In other words, these key elements must be kept dead even. When the power balance gets disrupted, such as a woman rising in status above other women, women may talk behind the other woman's back, ostracize her from the group, or belittle her. These behaviors are to preserve the dead even power relationship that women have grown up with their entire lives. So how many of you have experienced that? Some people feel like, oh, you're just not on my level, so I'm not going to talk to you. Raise your hand if you've experienced that. Okay. Another reason is a lack of emotional intelligence. So if you lack emotional intelligence, then that means that, you know, you may not have the empathy that you should have. You may not have the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes and really, really understand their situations. Some of us may not be aware of how we affect each other negatively. So it could be a self-awareness issue. And some of us, and you all picked up on some of this in your comments, some of us don't truly know how to communicate with other people. It could be because you're shy. It could be because you lack confidence or self-esteem, or a number of reasons why you don't truly communicate with each other. And then competition, yes. Why do we compete so fiercely with each other? Okay, so competition is definitely a reason why. And then another thing is just, I figured it out, so you need to figure it out too. All right, so those are some reasons why why women don't support each other. Now, I didn't say this, Madeline Albright said. You see what she said? Should I repeat it? I'm not going to repeat it. I'll just put it up there so y'all can see what Madeline Albright said, okay? All right. So, but in a nutshell, though, some of the reasons that you pointed to have also to do with psychological safety. And psychological safety is the belief that you won't be punished. Psychological safety is the belief that you won't be punished or humiliated for speaking up with ideas, questions, concerns, or mistakes. At work, it's a shared perception held by members of a team that teammates will not embarrass, reject, or punish them for sharing ideas, taking risks, or soliciting feedback. So sometimes we just don't feel safe to talk to each other and communicate to each other for a number of reasons. It could be the power dead even rule. It could be competition. It could be your own personality, but sometimes we just don't feel safe to share and connect with other women. And how many people just feel like, you know, there are some environments where I just don't feel safe. Have you been in that type of environment before? Raise your hands if you have. Okay. So I want you to answer another question for me. Why don't you feel safe? And here's the QR code. Oh, hold on, it's still on the same one. Hold on. Okay. Okay, Why don't you feel safe? List some reasons why you may not feel safe in certain networking contexts. Okay. Insecurity, lack of knowledge, maybe a male-dominated event. Inexperience, anxiety, don't feel heard. A lot of people feel insecure. That's why that word is so big up there. It could be a non-inclusive environment. Trauma from the past. You don't feel like you're part of the clique. Hypervigilance. Okay, so there are a number of reasons, and you're admitting some of these reasons yourself that you don't feel safe in some environments. So we have to work to change that. Ageism, fear of being made fun of, don't know anyone. Well, we're not going to let don't know anyone be the reason, because that's what we're there for. We're going to get to know someone. Okay. Let me stop this one.
Hey, Dr. Horn, we have about 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the presentation. So the question is, when you go to these events, you're going to network, you're going to get help, you're going to, try to be in an environment where you can get some tips and resources to do business, right? So while you're there, do you ask for help and do you offer to help? That's the main thing that I want to get to in this presentation. Do you ask for help and do you offer to help? So let's talk about asking for help. So ask for help, just ask for help. Don't think of it as a debt. Don't overthink it, don't overplan it. Don't think that just because you ask a person for help that you're going to be in debt to them. Don't feel that you have to be seen as knowledgeable about everything. We don't know everything. No one knows everything. We don't have to know everything. So don't feel like just because you ask someone for help that you're going to be seen as less competent. Know your weak areas. Know where you're weak and be specific about what you need help, the area that you need help in. And then also connect with people. You need to know other people's strengths, affirm their strengths, and ask for help specifically according to their strengths. Make it easy for the helper. You be the one to reach out. You be the one, make sure that you're making it clear what you need, why you think they can help. Make sure that you set everything up. So make it easy for the helper. And then also show appreciation after this person has helped. So those are some things about asking for help. Just do it, but in doing it, keep these things in mind. And while you're at these events, just remember that everyone you will ever meet knows something that you don't know. So the people in the room know some things that you need to know, and they can help you. Okay, and then next, you need to offer to help other people. Okay, so a lot of you are in varying stages of business, and let's just see by a show of hands, who's brand new startup. If you're a brand new startup, raise your hand. Okay. If you have been in business more than 2 years, raise your hand. Okay, and if you've been in business more than 5 years, raise your hand. Okay, So we have some people who are knowledgeable, who have been in business a long time and who know a lot about a lot. And even if it doesn't matter how long you've been in business, there's still a lot to learn. I met a woman, a photographer, a female photographer, last week at a networking event. She's been in business for 25 years, 25 years, but she's recently participated in some business training at University of Houston downtown in Houston. And you should see the glow in her eyes. She said she knew everything about photography, but she knew nothing about business. And she's been a successful business owner for 25 years. So there's always something to learn. And you should share your knowledge because you know something that other people don't learn. So know your strengths and offer to help in those areas. Give feedback. You know, a lot of us are shy to give feedback to each other because we're shy about the consequences of giving feedback. But you know what? We need to overcome that and we need to give feedback. If you see a woman in business who is doing something that will defeat herself in business, then you need to learn, we need to learn how to approach each other in a respectful way and learn how to give positive feedback. And we need to be open to receiving positive feedback. We can promote the work of others. We have social media, we have these events, we have, there are several ways that you can promote the work of others. And then we need to invest in woman-owned businesses. You can invest, there's some investment organizations, or you could just make sure that you patron woman-owned businesses and let's support each other at events. I see some people that I'm familiar with on here, and I so appreciate the support of some people that I'm familiar with that I see on this call. You know, they wanted to support me in this event. I didn't even know they would be here, but I see them here. So I'm so happy for that. And then also, we just talked about how important it is to be a good listener. Be a good listener. Learn how to listen empathetically and listen, you know, attentively to the problems that other people have. And that wraps up my presentation. I hope that you all will begin to, I hope that this presentation made you aware of how important it is for us to help each other. We can get help from everywhere else, but at the end of the day, we need to be helping each other, connecting with each other, and uplifting each other in business. And that's all I have for today. Thank you so much.
All right, do we have, so Dr. Horn, the way we do it is we'll take a virtual question and then an in-person question. That way we can kind of help facilitate the Q&A. So do we have an online question?
Not yet, Donalisa.
I see some hands raised. Are they questions or were they raising from way back?
I think there were questions from the survey. I don't see any questions yet in the chat.
Okay. Do we have any questions in here? Yes.
What is or do you have a suggestion on how we can overcome boundaries on when we're talking to other entrepreneurs, friends, girlfriends, when they say to you, oh, I didn't need your unsolicited advice, but you came to
Your eye.
Yeah, it's not the first time that I've received that in my lifetime, but maybe it's just a cultural thing for me. But a lot of times I've run into an issue where people just don't want my advice, or they take the advice and they say, oh, that sounds great, but they never go for it. What is my boundary? Where do you just say, oh, you know what? Nobody's listening, so why bother?
Okay, so two things. One thing I want to say is that always check yourself. Always be self-aware about how you're delivering this advice. You know, you have to be really careful about how you deliver advice. It's a thin line, but I want the advice. Okay. Now, another thing is that just because you give advice that does not mean the person has to take the advice and act on it. And in a lot of cases, you may not even see them act on it immediately. You know, the thing about feedback is that you should put it in your toolbox and act on it accordingly. So although you may not see someone readily reacting to your advice or receive, sometimes it has to soak in, you know, it just depends on what the feedback is. Some of it could be mind-blowing, and it may, you know, a person may have to kind of calm themselves down just to get over it. You know, sometimes, you know, we don't see ourselves the way other people see us. And so when we give advice, it's not always going to be immediately received. But I think that we should at least affirm what the other person is saying. And I see someone in the chat is saying delivery is key. And it is. That's what I said the first. You have to make sure that you're aware of how you're delivering the information, and make sure that it's not in a condescending way. Make sure that it's, you know, as much as possible, that it appears that you're trying to be helpful. And maybe asking them before, and someone has this in the chat, maybe asking them before you give the advice if it's okay. You know, some people may come out and say no. Well, just move on if they say no. Just but you know, ask them if you can give, if they mind you giving advice.
Any questions virtual? We have another in person, so.
Okay.
We
Chris,
have,
you have a
oh,
virtual.
I said it to you, Donnelly said, Donna's asking, do you have a list of good networking groups, Dr. Horn?
You know what? I do. I actually do. You're talking about local or just?
Probably both, since our group is across the state.
Well, I'm gonna put a link in the chat in a second. I'll put a link in the chat where it's like, it's a list of 25 organizations that are committed to helping with. They're not local though, but they give the websites and everything.
Dr. Horn, if you send me the link, I'll attach it in, I'll put it in the folder so they'll get the slide presentation so everybody will have access to that.
Okay, great.
Yes.
But other than that, I'll send that. But other than that, I think that you all are, you know, networking in all the right places. The chambers of commerce, professional organizations in your respective fields. I think you should be definitely interacting with Small Business Association. That's, you know, from the federal government, and they have plenty of resources to assist. So we're all kind of spread geographically across Texas. So there's some organizations specific to different areas. But I'll send that list to Donna-Lisa of the list of the organizations.
Perfect. Did you have your question? Sure, go ahead.
Yes. Thank you very much, Dr. Horn. My question kind of dovetailed a little bit from our colleague here. You said sometimes you just have to move on if the conversation isn't productive. And sometimes it happens, right? That we don't have chemistry with every single person we speak to. How do you move on from a, you know, somewhat cold or perhaps awkward conversation?
Just move on. Just move on. Don't let it bog you down. Just move on to the next person. Everybody's not for everybody. And, you know, sometimes if the energy is not right, sometimes if it, you know, it could be a number of reasons. The person could just be having a bad day, or the person could just be a rude person. But, you know, just move on. Say, you know, say thank you, say goodbye, say have a nice day, say, you know, whatever you need to say, and just keep it moving. Even if
it feels artificial, you know, like, oh, thanks, bye.
Yeah, that's all right, because it is awkward. So yeah, just thanks, bye. Someone says, say thank you and smile, and walk on to the next person, and don't let that conversation bog you down with the conversation, the productive conversation that you're gonna have with the next person.
And I think in the spirit of helping other women, it's not taking that conversation to somebody else in the room and saying, you know, I just was talking to so-and-so and she's like a wet fish over there. You know what I mean? I think it, you know what I mean? Again, it's leaving that conversation to yourself, because although you may not have had the connection, it doesn't mean that somebody else doesn't. So again, you know, trying to do the right thing and empowering each other and lifting each other up, and not sharing that conversation with other people. So,
I totally agree with that. Was that Donna Lisa?
yes, ma'am.
I totally agree with that. You know, we don't want to cause extra confusion that does not have to be there. You know, we don't need to, there's no need to carry that conversation around the room, across the room. Guess what? Actually, if you're carrying that conversation across the room or to the next person or whatever, you're not accomplishing what you need to be accomplishing. You're not going to connect and relate and get the help that you need, or be able to offer to help someone else if that's your focus after that conversation.
All right, any virtual questions?
Donna Lisa, yeah, let's see here. Rasika, do you have a question?
I see one in the chat. It says,
Yeah.
if you're at a new event and many are talking amongst themselves because they know each other, I guess, how do you introduce yourself? Just go up and introduce yourself. Say, hey, ladies, how y'all doing? I'm Dewayanna. I mean, just, and most people appreciate that, you know, because you have to remember now, sometimes when people are huddled up, they're huddled up because they're just in a comfort zone themselves and sticking with what they're familiar with. But it's not like they don't want to meet other people. So if you walk, I've never had a situation or felt awkward when I just go up and it's a group of 5 ladies talking and I just readily just walk up and say, hey, how y'all doing? I'll find a way to compliment somebody on something, and then we start talking. So you just have to just break those barriers and do it. You know, that's why most people are at events, to meet people, but some people are in their comfort zones and don't even realize it.
Yeah. All right,
So
last question, Jessica.
Oh, it's not exactly a question, but I want to piggyback what you were asking, because that, what we're talking about reminds me of, I was having a little piece of chocolate yesterday and they had a little quote inside and it says, your vibe attracts your tribe. So.
Yes. And if you're walking around the room, positive, upbeat, energetic, speaking, mingling, guess other people are going to notice that and they're going to want to meet you. They're going to want to see what you're all about. They're going to want to, you know, get an introduction to you. So just make sure that you're upbeat and check your energy.
Dr. Horn, we did have one more, if that's okay, Donna Lisa. Just, yeah, Rasika was asking along the same line, the best way to introduce myself, but make it interactive so they engage. How do you do that? So, you know,
I'm sorry, say that one more
you can ask the
time.
question.
Say it one more time.
How to introduce myself and make it interactive. I guess you could ask a question of them. How do you engage the group if you walk up to them, there's 3 ladies there, and how do you engage them? So it's interactive, not awkward.
So Kimberly, I saw she put something in the chat where she said she completely acknowledges that she doesn't know anybody or she's new here, or hey, Kimberly, can you pop on and share that really quick?
And Kimberly is really good at networking, so whatever she's getting ready to say, I believe it.
I spend a lot of times in areas where I know no one. So I immediately go up to people and say, I know absolutely no one here. And they will introduce themselves before you have a chance to introduce yours. But I also find that you end up with, you know, the old college big, somebody in that 2-person clique or in that group of 5 that you say that to is going to take you under their wing and say, well, let me introduce you to this person and this person and this person. So I find the being the newbie is almost an advantage, because everybody wants to show who all they know, right? They want to shine and say, well, I know this person, this person.
I agree with that, and that's some great advice, Kimberly. And I know it works for you. I know it does. And someone says, walk around the room taking selfies with people, get their contact info, and offer to send the pics to them along with a warm, positive message.
And all the extroverts in the room just shuddered at that. I know I did. No, I don't think so, but yeah, that works for you. I think it's figuring out what works best for you, what's your comfort level, stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit, right? And being willing to make those connections. So, well, thank you so much, Dr. Horn. We appreciate this. And I don't know about everybody else, but I am looking forward to the finals of the research and the conclusions and the gaps and all of that kind of stuff that I know that you and Margaret Young are going to come up with. So thank you so much for your time today. You will get the recording. Dr. Horn is sharing the slide presentation. We'll make sure that everybody has all of that. So really quick, we have a few announcements. Right now, so our Veteran Woman Entrepreneur Grant is open. We are giving away $5,000 to 25 women, veteran women-owned businesses. If you don't know, if you are not a veteran woman, but you know somebody that is, or you're in networking groups that maybe have veteran women entrepreneurs, we would ask that you please share that information with them. Information is on our website, it's on our social media. It's super easy to get access to and share that. In addition to that, our Abilene Accelerate Her cohort applications are open, and that is for those women that are in the Abilene area. Can't be traveling from Denton to Abilene. So if you know somebody that's in Abilene and they are a woman-owned business or they're getting ready to start their business, again, sharing that information with them. And then we have a couple of events coming up. So our second quarter special evening event is May 4th. That's on a Thursday from 6 to 7. And it's a panel discussion. We have Veronica Powell with the Cookie Crave. We have Esther from Queen Esther's Cupcakes. And then we also have Sue Newhouse from Aunt Sue's Barn. And really, it's an opportunity to hear their entrepreneurial journey, some of the obstacles and barriers that they've had to overcome. Again, them sharing some information with you. Maybe you see yourself along their journey somewhere and you can get motivated and inspired to keep going. So that is a virtual only event. And then our May WomenRISE is May 9th, and we have two speakers. We have Bliss Coulter she's the president and CEO at the Women's Business Council Southwest. And she's going to be talking about getting certified women-owned. And then we also have Demora Smith, who is from FEMA, and she is going to talk to you about how to do business with FEMA. So again, as you get women-owned certified, you can take that and get contracts with government agencies like FEMA as part of your business. And so for those of you that are in some of those service-based businesses that you think, oh, well, they're not going to need me. Let me tell you, they need a lot of people, and they are always wanting to do business with women-owned businesses. So both of those events are coming up. So that's all I've got. I'm going to turn this back over to Christina, and then she's going to close out our virtual group, and we'll close out our in-person group. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. Let me stop sharing.
Say bye to Dewayanna.
Yeah.
And Dewayanna, thank you.